once again, I want to thank you for investing in yourself. I salute you. Today is Saturday, Memorial Weekend. I've been following a series of videos, my life and times. I'm sharing a little bit about my testimony. My reason for doing these videos is because I've been able to change my life. I've been able to train myself by the grace of God. I've been able to discipline my mindset to be able to be happy, to be able to be a successful mindset person. I've been able to step out and develop 2 businesses. Actually, I'm not developing 2 businesses. One of them has already been around, but I am founder and president of my own consulting business that has to do with self-development and motivational speaking. And this is my passion. This is my gift that I have, and I'm developing it. I started basically with nothing, really. I started from scratch, from being homeless, with nothing, with no income. I had a dream, and I have a dream. I made a decision that I was going to begin to follow my dream, write it down, and associate with successful people, and listen to rags to riches stories about how people have endured difficult times and difficult traumas and all kinds of horrible things. And I admit I've been through some difficult childhood trauma situations. I will admit that. I'm going to say this. My mother was stabbed 5 times by my own father. And we saw these things. And I've seen, that was the ultimate act that basically kind of separated my family. But these are the types of things that I've come from. And that's not, I remember my mother being in the hospital for about 3 months or more. Intensive care. She lost all her blood. My mother's still alive today. My father's still alive. My father's in Puerto Rico. My mother's just recently retired from teaching. She was a teacher. She still is a teacher. She had a dream to fulfill 8 years of college. She ended up getting her master's degree through all the trauma, through all the violence, through all the difficulties that we went through as children. Now, I can't sit here and say, well, my father probably had a really, really difficult upbringing. He was not an educated man. So what he learned as a child, it developed into his thinking. Of course, I believe my father suffered from, and still does, from a split personality. He had a mental condition that began to show up. I probably remember seeing most of it when I was about 7 or 8 years of age. So I once again, I talked a little bit earlier in one of my other videos about some of the violent acts that we went through, the trauma, the situations at home. And it was a very difficult time for us. I know that it has impacted my brother and sister. I have a sister that is a little bit different mentally than I am. Obviously, she's kind of she suffers from a condition also mentally, and I love my sister. I love my brother. I love my father. I love my mother. I love all my family members. As I grew up, I was talking to my son earlier. I recall making trips to Brooklyn. I have family in New York City. I remember making those childhood trips, spending summers with a cousin of mine. And it's really strange how over the years, family members just have begun to, not all, but a lot of family members, they have begun to allow separation to come between them. Families today are not the way they used to be years back. Unfortunately, we read about families in books today. We read about families that are very tight-knit families, old-fashioned in many ways, and I'm that way. I believe in keeping the family together. I believe in growing the family together. I believe in education. I believe in counseling. I believe that the mother and father of the family, of the home, are the leaders, that are the role models. They are the ones that lead this family. They are the ones that, the family is almost like a business, really. You lead that family. You lead it in right ways and with right perspectives. And unfortunately today families are broken. They're broken. They're not getting along. There's problems within. I know I experienced that within my own family. But I decided some time ago to make a change. And the change that you wish to see around you at first has to start within you. You know, I can't try to change my wife. I can't try to change my daughter or my son. I have to change myself first before I can even talk to them about change. And my lifestyle has to be the leader. The way that I live, the way that I think, the way that I speak has to be the leadership in my home. If I think I can change my family by just yelling at them and telling them what to do and what not to do, and I'm not doing it, that's total hypocrisy. It doesn't work. Going back to my childhood now. So I kind of grew up. I experimented with a little bit with alcohol. I experimented a little bit with a few drugs here and there. Marijuana. I started smoking marijuana at an early age. And I went through that kind of childhood, through grammar school, all the way up to high school. And I was always thinking about myself. You know, I remember have you ever heard this term, being alone in the crowd, or feeling alone in the party? That's how I felt. I felt out of place. I felt there was something about me that was different. I felt that I was just a different person. There was just something about me, and I just didn't know what it was. You know, and when you go through these things in life as a child, difficulties and traumas, you have a perception in your mindset, and that carries on into adulthood. Some people find the breakthrough to be able to conquer all of those things. Others don't. Many turn to alcohol, many turn to drugs. Some take their lives, and some just basically end up homeless. And I've been through a lot of things in my childhood. I've been through a lot of things throughout my teen years, and then even throughout my young adult years. I enlisted into the United States Navy at the age of 18. I did not want to go to school. My mother pushed me. High school I got through because of my mother's inspiration. And I owe a lot of gratitude to my mother, Inez, for getting me through high school. Same thing with grammar. I was half asleep through those years. Half asleep. I wasn't a reader. I didn't like math. I just didn't like study. Because of everything I had gone through. You know, I was in the world, but I just was puzzled about a lot of things, and I don't know how I managed to get through. By the grace of God, I managed to get through those years and become somewhat of a young man. And somehow, I remember through a friend of mine named Vince, he convinced me to go see a Marine recruiter. I used to take martial arts when I was younger, and that's how I ended up coming into the United States Navy. I served from 1985 to 1993. I've traveled the world through the United States Navy. I remember going to boot camp in Chicago, Great Lakes. Talk about a brainwashing. I really think about that today because I'm heavily into self-development, and I'm heavily into mind training and focus. And that's what we need to be thinking about today if we really want success. And success does take time. Greatness and self-development and change and progress does take time. But it begins with a decision. And that decision that I made to go into boot camp, and 12 weeks later I was stationed in California on the USS Enterprise, an aircraft carrier. I've been in combat. 1986. Me personally, I was not in combat on land, but I was part of that command, being on the ship, and with it was an Iranian crisis back then in 1986, Operation Desert Canyon. So I learned a lot. I did a lot of bad things when I was in the military. I got into a lot of bad habits. I did a lot of drinking, even though I traveled the world. I've been to places like Hawaii, Italy, France, Australia, the Philippines, Africa, Singapore, Hong Kong, Korea, San Diego numerous times. Of course, I went to the boot camp in Chicago. So I've gone through a lot of experiences in my lifetime. And one thing that I would like to say here before I end this video is that by the grace of God, I didn't die. I've been so close to death so many times, even as a child. I've been so close to death so many times. And I go back and I say it was only by the grace of God. I'm here for God's purpose. I know that I'm here today in this year 2014 for the purpose of God. I've been able to change my life for the purpose that God has me here. And I know that what I'm sharing in these videos will impact you, will impact many lives if they get an opportunity to listen to my testimony and watch my other videos and gather bits and pieces of what I'm sharing through my videos. I'm nobody special. I'm just a Puerto Rican that has a big dream that oftentimes scares me. My dream oftentimes scares me. I've been able to develop my consulting business that I'm constructing. I'm part of Legal Shield. I am an independent contractor. I help protect families through identity theft programs. I help people gain a membership to a cost-effective, high-end legal program membership that helps us learn about our rights. Because the truth is that if we don't know our rights, we really don't have any. And it doesn't take a lot of money to be able to have attorneys at your beck and call, really. I offer that through my programs. I know I've stepped a little bit out of my testimony here, but I guess that's part of my testimony. I want to thank you for watching this video. I want to salute you for taking time out of your busy schedule to listen to what I've been sharing in these videos. And I'll end here. Once again, the thoughts that you're holding on to will lead you someplace. The question is, where will those thoughts that you're holding on to, that you are holding on to, lead you? You can make a change by making one decision, and that will alter the rest of your life.